and I'm gonna object to them, but I think 9 to 10 are better.
All right. Mr. Peroni, please.
Sir, can you raise your right hand, state your name, spell your last name for me, please?
My name is Alejandro Pironi.
Can you spell that for me, please?
Yes, ALEJANDROPIERONI.
Do you swear to the truth of this matter?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
So just want to verify that because I have a strong accent, if anyone feels like I should repeat or talk louder, please let me know.
If you could maybe stand a little bit closer to the mic.
Yes. So as I say, my name is Alejandro Pironi. I'm Jennifer O'Neill's husband and resident of 15 Main Street. I am an electrical engineer and my line of work is related to government and public safety, specifically communication systems. The company I work for, Fiberspan, supplies radio communications for US government employees like police, FBI, fire department, homeland security, and first responders. After participating in the planning board meetings regarding the property at 17 Main Street for over a year, I would like to challenge several of the applicant's claims. For that, I would like to introduce a picture.
Oh, 11.
That's
Mr. Peroni, could you identify that exhibit that's been marked 011, please?
Yes, it's 011 with a date of January 13, 2015. So this is a picture of a local condition in the street where I live. It's actually the front of our house where you can see from our window, you can see the property of Rutgers that's going to be converted in a parking deck. And also you can see the applicant's property. There's a fence here where you can see for the new construction, if it takes place. What I would like to say is, first, the applicant, he didn't provide any real and collective statistical data based on Main Street traffic patterns. Even if his experts mention papers, journals, or reports, there's no reference to those whatsoever to the data, like author, pages, etc., like a scientific report. There's also no local statistical data of parking patterns and available parking spaces of Main Street presented by the applicant. Why is the applicant omitting this information? If you take a look at the picture, you can clearly see. The picture is the actual situation in Main Street, and my concern is how 132 people, future tenants and their guests, will be able to park in this scenario. Second, how will the city of New Brunswick guarantee access of first responders like fire department or E911 emergency service in the case of a fire or a medical emergency to my property or adjacent properties in Main Street? The applicant's proposed garbage pickup service and its tenants' traffic patterns may completely block the access to the street, and you can see in this picture. So is the city of New Brunswick aware of the future entrance of a Rutgers parking deck in front of the proposed site? I have the right to have access to emergency service. I would not like to have the necessity of call them and they don't be able to access my home. Every minute counts. I work in that field. I just want to point to the board, to the Rogers property, so you can see their parking lot and the density of cars that are parked. I can show this if it's far away to the members, but you can see in front of their property how many cars are parked and how the street looks like. It just barely fit a truck. And if there is snow or plowing services, definitely now they will be able to park because the snow is going to take over the parking spaces. So, may I introduce our picture, please?
Sure.
Council, I know that you're putting some of these exhibits back, but they'll need to stay with the board. So if you could have those segregated and maybe put them in one spot now so we don't lose them later.
I'll do my best.
Is that okay over there?
This is 012, I believe. And Mr. Peroni, could you identify 012 with the date of January 13th, 2015 for the record, please?
Yeah, sure. It's 012, January 13, 2015 picture.
Sorry.
Could you say the date again?
Yes.
January
13, 2015. Sorry, it's So, second, regarding this picture, and regarding the installation of the fire hydrant in front of the proposed building, how many existing parking spaces will be eliminated as a result? The applicant offered us parking at one of his properties in Union Street during demolition at the proposed site because he knows the situation of the street and how parking would be affected. With a permanent fire hydrant, the situation will be worse, considering the entrance of the parking garage inside the building that will also eliminate further parking spots. So you can see in the picture that the red area is where the development is going to happen. So all that area practically is going to be gone for parking because these two features. As I said, I'm going to repeat that the snow on the street is going to make that even worse. So we'll introduce another picture. I have a lot of pictures.
Oh, 13.
Can I ask Mr. Peroni a question about the last picture? Are you saying that the loss of the parking is going to be just during construction or after it's constructed?
After construction is done, they're going to install a fire hydrant there, plus their building entrance. So the fire hydrant regulation is going to allow nobody to park over there, it's illegal. Plus their building entrance, now it's going to be able to park in front of their garage, right? So you can see the size of their property. We're going to lose significant space there of parking. And it's going to be aggravated if we consider that we have snow. That street is very harsh with snow, actually. We had experience of last year. So is that clear? Is any more
So
information?
you're saying after it's construction, you would lose those parking
Yes.
spaces? Okay,
The-
I don't understand what you said.
Yes, during the demolition, they offer us parking spot because they know we had a very hard time parking over there. so that we can offer a spot so we can park our cars while they do the demolition. And the demolition is not as big as the proposed building when it's done. It's just an entrance, they have their garage, so it's gonna even be worse.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're a nice guy. Please back to Okay.
Oh, 13.
Mr. Peroni, could you identify 013 bearing today's date for the record, please?
Sure, this is a picture of 013, date January 13, 2015.
And what does it depict?
This is a picture of the actual situation of the properties. The property on the right is actually our house, 17 Main Street, and the blue house is the applicant's property that we share the property line. So you can see on the picture that this is the entrance of our sidewalk to our house. You can notice the close proximity between both. So what I'm going to tell us, number 3, is that I'm very concerned about this scenario because the excavation of a foundation of a 4-story building, I would like to know how deep it would be. Where is the applicant contingency plan to avoid damage to our house located just a few feet from the property line? How will the applicant avoid triggering a landslide or a sinkhole during construction with catastrophic results? This is not an abandoned property, there's a family living there. So I would also like to know if there are any recent cases in which the applicant, while performing excavation or construction, triggered a complete or partial landslide in adjacent properties. A scaled-down building without variances will make that property, will make that foundation smaller, and the risk of triggering a landslide will be less.
Now he's an engineer.
I have witnessed the damaged parking in the property adjacent to Eastern Avenue and Ray Street that is behind of one of the applicant's construction sites. That what happened, there's a parking lot and a section of the parking lot from the other property suffered a landslide or sinkhole, and that portion was gone. So I drove lately to see how they fix it, and I can realize still where was the damage done. I even had information about that. So, will the city of New Brunswick ultimately be responsible of the landslide? It happened in that place with this applicant. Why can't it happen in my house? Why somebody's gonna come into work, tell me that my house went down through the excavation? The street is also known to be in the vicinity of an old copper mine complex that it's sited, but nobody exactly know where it is. So, where is a study that proved, a geological study, to determine if it's even safe to build an excavation, do an excavation on that site? I have a 7-year-old son and wife. I'm really concerned about the risk of accident during the excavation. The proposed building is a big volume and mass difference between these properties. And I'm really afraid of the risk of damaging our property in a catastrophic way.
Can I ask a question? You
Yes.
just said there was a copper mine entrance on the
It-
street?
A copper mine under the street. That's why the original name is Mine
What was
Street.
your source of that information? Just
I can consult with my wife because she's the one that knows more details about the background. But there
She'll
is,
be providing testimony later on.
That's fine.
yes, but it's cited in
It did.
historical,
Okay,
it's cited in historical records
okay.
that
Thank
there
you.
was a old mine copper. I think that's what's called Mine Street. Right? So, number 5, in our property, you can see here this grade, that's where the basement windows are located. So our basement is 4 feet 2 inches below ground level. With rain, water starts to come in through the cracks of the floor, and it's a fairly common occurrence. Like the
I'm
rain.
sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry.
I didn't hear the last thing you just said, after it starts to come in through the cracks of the floor.
Okay, that's a very fairly common occurrence.
Thank you.
So at some point, we can observe a stream flowing to the lowest point, and it would take several days to dry, even with the help of devices. With severe weather, like Hurricane Sandy, we had at least 6 inches of standing water for several days. The statement of environmental impact of the applicants claims that the storm water's volume and rate will be no greater than existing conditions. How is that possible? A property of 4 stories and 132 tenants will make no difference whatsoever to 2 houses and a garage in drainage. That those people are gonna overload the system. So for that, what is the reference volume and rate they're using for the study? I didn't see that number. Why they have omitted any references to the data that support their claim in the statement? What is the calculated volume and rate for the 4 stories and 132 tenant structure? The drainage report also doesn't show test pits to show how the water table is. I know how it is because I can see my basement. If their basin system doesn't work because they miscalculated water table, they're gonna dump all the water to that immense building in our house because we're upstream. That's where the water came in. I would like to introduce our picture, please. Actually, I need some water.
This will be 014.
Test. This is the backyard of our house. And this picture is taken by our camera automatically. I have this camera for security, but basically it shows every half an hour where the sunlight and shadow is right now as photographed on October 24, 2014. So we can compare with the applicant's shadow status on it. So what I would like to show is, you can see the extent of the property line going to the end. There's a tree in the picture, that's our tree, and that's a fairly comparison regarding the height of the proposed building, because the tree is taller than the blue house. I fear that if this property is built without being compared with the structures that are on the street right now, they're gonna run along the whole property line. So what's gonna happen is that this picture is gonna show a big wall, 4 stories wall, running almost to the end of the property. And what I'm concerned is, because where I live in Sandy, is that this building is gonna act as a contention wall or barrier, and it's gonna deflect every heavy storm coming from east, southeast, with catastrophic consequences. It's gonna dump a lot of water in our house that we're not prepared to handle because we're just a family home. Also, I want to state that in the report, when they compare the height of the peak of the house to a bulky cubical mass that this building is, that runs all along the property. So that picture is going to be all taken over by their construction. Is misleading. It will definitely overwhelm our house, and not even mention the impact that is going to happen in sunlight on our whole backyard, starting at 11:30 a.m. That's where the cameras start, and it records up to 5 p.m. So we're going to lose from 11:30 to 5 p.m. all that sunlight that coming exactly perpendicular to our property line is going to go away. We will have no more sunlight. As easy as that. I want to introduce my last picture.
Oh, 15. Could you identify 015 for the record, Mr. Peroni, and indicate what it depicts?
Yeah, this is picture of 15, date January 13, 2015. This is a picture of the other security camera that is in our kitchens. So this is at the first floor, and you can see the whole backyard. We have our house running. You can also identify the property line of the applicants, and you can partially see the tree that stands right now. Just pointed out that the tree is going to have to be removed, unfortunately, because the demolition is probably damaged the roots, so I had to take it down. I don't really like taking down trees, but we have no choice. The structure, Main Street, you can see in the pictures that the shadow projected. This is the shadow from the, I'm not going to the road. So, when you see the shadows starting at 11:30, you can see that there's a big shadow right after the kitchen window. That is the blue house that's right now with the adjacent property. So it's the applicant's house that's already built there. And it takes a considerable amount of our backyard. You can also observe that there's a gap, and after that, the tree comes in. And you can see the shadow of the tree, and after that, you can see shadows of bushes and other trees in their property. So, as the sun moves from 11:30 to 5 p.m., you can see how the shadow start moving proportionally, and at 5 p.m. we have no more light. And you can see also the glare on the camera when it's getting hit by the sunlight in a specific angle in the corner. I'm just going to put to the planning board that this structure is going to absolutely convert our backyard in a dark place. There will be no more sunlight for us, starting from 11:30 to 5 p.m. And I really consider this very catastrophic. I really think people have the right to have sunlight, at least some. As a resident of New Brunswick, I'm really very sad because this building is going to ruin quality of life of people living in the street. And I would like to say as a final statement that because of the real lack of traffic, information, excavation contingency plans, incomplete environmental statements, misleading ones, I'm asking the board please to reject this application. I strongly believe that they can build something in that property that can be compatible with the street and scaled down without variances, so everybody can be in harmony and we don't need to be here spending a year in this madness. So thank you very much and the public. Thank you.
I just had an
I actually have a couple questions first, Mr. Council.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Mr. Peroni, have you had your basement sealed?
Yes, we had a,
Can you tell the board when that took place and what you had done?
we decided to invest in reforming our property like a year ago, actually. So we decided to do major reforms in the house, that the water plant, even before we knew what was going to happen. Actually, when we found what was going to happen on the property, kind of disappointed us because we already had triggered the reforms, that they are not cheap, to improve the house. So we really take care of our property. It's a very old house from 1800s. We believe that we need to do the best to keep that property in very good shape. So we sealed the basement, we sealed the walls, it was cemented, and a lot of rework was done on the basement floor.
And when you were talking about the height of the building, you referred to a report. Was that the environmental impact statement that the applicant filed?
Yes, I read that they claim that their building is going to be 4.5 feet taller than the existing structure.
Madam Chair, that's all I have at the moment.
Just a couple of questions, Mr. Peroni. You are aware that there are regulations associated with stormwater management. So in other words, when a new project comes on, the city has guidelines that they require us to follow with regard to how that stormwater is managed. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm also aware that the report states that will be no impact.
Are you
No change in, actually, I can even quote what the report says if you want. So no change in actual conditions.
Correct. Meaning there's no additional water flow pre-development from post-development. My question for you is, are you aware of how they're actually handling the stormwater with regard to this new project?
I'm aware they're going to build a basin
Correct.
container system. So I'm also aware that they may have miscalculated, and if it's not functioning like supposed to, we are going to have all that water in our property.
But you are aware the water is all piped into an underground confined basin which doesn't exist today.
Yes, but as any basin has a capacity and a flow rate. So what's going to happen is that if the basin is full and the water table is high, where that excess water is going to go?
You are aware that those calculations are all reviewed by the city's engineer for conformance with requirements.
As engineer doing public safety, I like to see in reports references. Even if the calculations are there and the volumes are calculated, it's very nice to read in a report reference to, so I can follow up and verify. I haven't seen that in the report. If I personally feel that the report is very weak because there are no references to those numbers, I cannot double check, right?
They're available for review from the city, correct?
Yeah, but the report have no mention of them, where they get the data from.
They were all submitted as part of the professional submissions that our professional engineer is required to submit for compliance by the city.
I understand perfectly, but
Okay.
a report should contain data to its sources, as any good scientific report.
Let me ask you about the tree, because I know you've mentioned the tree a few times.
Yes.
Is it true that the tree is somewhat now in poor condition?
No, you can see on the pictures, the tree is not in bad condition.
So I can see the trunk, I can't see the top of the tree.
I can show you the other picture. You may see the top of the tree. The tree has, it's a sunny tree. It's not a risk for us. It may be sick, let's put it this way.
So it is. So you believe the tree is sick, correct?
Yes.
Isn't it a fact that my client and you have had conversations and have agreed that my client will take that tree out at their expense?
Yes, because they're going to damage the roads, and unfortunately, that has to happen, right?
But the tree is also sick, is it not?
Yeah, but this is like a car crash. If I don't crash into their car, it's not my fault I crashed the car.
But
So if they don't do the excavation, I don't need to take the tree down. Even if the tree is sick, still, it can be recovered. So we don't know up to which extent. I mean, that tree is not a risk for us, and actually helped us during the storm. I really like that tree very much. We already lost a tree in our property during the hurricane. The southeast winds that we got hit, knocked down a tree that is not right now into our Rogers property and property in the back. So we already lost, we have no more trees.
So my client and you have reached an agreement that they
Yes,
will remove the tree.
very
for you.
nice.
All right, thank
Very
you.
nice. Another question?
I don't have any further questions, Mr. Conley.
Do you have any other?
I do. David Drinkwater, please.
Are we ready for a break yet?
Ask the chair.
We can take a 5-minute break now.
Okay.
And then come back.